Cycle 4081 for Unfiltered with Cycle 4081. This is our third of three parts of the episode. We're talking about fathers in general, and we talked about if fathers are essential or helpful. We talked about the fatherless crisis. We talked about are they being treated fairly in court. We talked about many things: toxic masculinity, deadbeat dads versus fathers being pushed away, and we're going to get into some really hot topics in this one. And stay tuned because we want to know if society celebrates mothers more than fathers and some other things that we can debate. So stay tuned.
Are you ready for some controversy? Yeah. Are you ready for some fun? Yeah. Are you ready for some laughs? Yeah. Let's get unfiltered with Cycle 4081.
We are back, part 3, talking about daddies. So we're going to kick this off with this. Motherhood is often publicly praised, and you see it. You see me argue about it. You see me talk about it, while fatherhood receives less attention. Want some proof? Go out on Father's Day and go out on Mother's Day and see which ones you need a reservation for, right? Some see this as deserved recognition. Others view it as an imbalance. And I'm one of those others. So we're going to deep dive into that and then go into, whether a father could be too strict and what makes a great father. And then we're going to have some last minute, questions about you personally. How did you feel about your father? What did you do with your father? Et cetera, et cetera. So thank you guys for joining me again. But I have one question to start off with. Are fathers appreciated enough? What do you think?
No.
No. Kendall, that was a quick no. An emphatic no. Why? Dimitri, what do you say? Are fathers appreciated enough?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we have a no, we have a yes. Kendall, why do you say that they are not appreciated enough?
I had this conversation like a while ago. And I was just saying like my irritation like going on TikTok and people being unappreciative of like father. I get it, a lot of fathers are deadbeats. That's not what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like automatically a joke on TikTok like, oh, like let's not celebrate Father's Day or my father got nothing. And I get if your father's a deadbeat, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not what I'm talking about. But it's like people whose fathers like genuinely try where they're like, I'm not sure if I want to give stuff or whatever. And like there's like so much jokes about that. But then when it's like Mother's Day, it's like I love my mom, which rightfully so, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you can love your mom. But it's just like I feel like more love needs to go to fathers who actually put in a lot of effort and who actually care, like put in a lot of care. I feel like there needs to be like not as many like yes, have your memes, have your jokes, they're kind of funny,
Mm-hmm.
but when it's overdone to where it's kind of like shaming fathers, I feel like imagine just like going on. Imagine being a father who loves your kids, who your kids love, kids who love their fathers, and you're being a father. You go on TikTok like, oh my gosh, it's Father's Day, yippee, and it's just people going, screw Father's Day. I hate you know what I'm saying? It's
Mm-hmm.
just like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Or like barely anything at all. It's like, where's that love?
Okay.
So that's like yeah.
But
That's my
now,
thing.
Dimitri, you said they are appreciated enough. They are. Why do you say
I
they
think they
are?
are.
And why do you say that?
Well, I'm because I'm speaking for the good fathers and not the deadbeats. The good fathers, for all the good fathers, I think they are because they do so much that it doesn't get overlooked for the good fathers. Like what she was saying, all the deadbeat fathers, sometimes on the other half has the other half of people not appreciating fathers like they do mothers because the deadbeat fathers. But you look at the non-deadbeat fathers and look at how many that are not and just stay in the family lives. They're very well appreciated.
Okay. So my response to that is this is my response to that, right? And there's a question for you guys too. Why do Father's Day celebrations seem smaller? Why do you go to Texas Roadhouse, First Watch, IHOP, wherever you want to go, and on Father's Day you can go walk right in there and get a seat? Whereas on Mother's Day, you have a wait. Right? I'm just comparing the
And
two.
that's where I was like trying to get into too, which is
Mm-hmm.
why I gotta disagree with like Dimitri, you know what I'm saying? Because here's the reason why, right?
Okay.
So you're appreciated, but you're appreciated in the household. I'm talking about fathers being appreciated in general.
Exactly.
Like
On
there's
a
a
bigger
difference.
scale.
Yes, yeah. And on a small scale, yes, they are appreciated a lot. But on a bigger scale, they're not. They're made fun of. It's a joke, and I get why. I see why. It's because of these deadbeat fathers and the statistics. But at the same time, there's a bunch of deadbeat mothers. I know people whose mothers are drug addicts and not in their life. I know people whose mothers are just not, doing what they need to do, or who are in their lives but not. I'm being called. Who are in their lives but not doing what they need to do, and they get a pass because they're mothers.
I would agree. I'm gonna say this. When it comes to fathers, I'm gonna say they're not appreciated enough because all of what you said, but take into account that on Father's Day, why we don't get those social media posts that says, to all the deserving fathers out there, this day's for you, blah 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 blah. Right? They never say that to mother on Mother's Day. They always say, thank you to my mom, thank you to this, everybody else, everybody's mom, but they never say, hey, to all the mothers out there and the fathers that's doing the job of the mothers who, blah, blah, blah. They never say that, but they always put conditions on fathers, and there's great fathers out there. There's some deadbeats, but the thing is, and like you said, there's same thing applies to mothers. But why do they do that to fathers? And I'm going to tell you, here's one of the reasons why I think they're not appreciated enough. Because, all right, now Dimitri, you're a football fan. When a guy gets up there and he scores a touchdown and he does all this, what does he do? When the camera's on him, celebrates. Thanks, mom. I'm gonna shout out my mom. Blah 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 blah. Most of the time, 90% of the time, it's you get the hi mom thing. You don't say hi dad. It's like hi mom, whatever. And the reason why I think outside of the fact that you may have been, many of us are from single parent households led by mothers, but I think that mothers get the fathers get overshadowed by mothers because one, mothers are nurturers. They're our first nurturers, right? From the time that we popped out, mothers have been the first nurturers. They put the baby on their belly when it comes out, and they get breastfed. Whatever happens, they're with the mother from the day they were born till and a lot of times till the day they go off to school. It's always been the mothers. The mothers are known that feminine energy is going to be nurturing, and I think that because of that, fathers are automatically by default underappreciated. We don't get that the recognition that I think fathers should, especially when it comes to how we discussed earlier. There's a lot of social ills out there because of fatherlessness, or because no, we're gonna stick with that because of the fatherlessness. So yeah, I think that's the main reason why that fathers aren't appreciated enough as compared to mothers. And you can fathers will give you that tough love, mothers will give you the tough love, but generally mothers are going to be that nurturer that we all can appreciate from the time we're born to the time we die. Somebody else picks up that mantle. So I do think fatherhood should receive more public recognition because it's important. And I think because we don't get that public recognition, a lot of people have it in their heads that having a father or being a father is not important. And it is. And again, we talked about it on part one of this episode, how how fathers are viewed, and when they're not in your lives, all the different things that could happen. So my question to you is, do you think that fatherhood should receive more public recognition like Mother's Day, or is it fine the way it is?
I think it should. And here's my also like I was saying this like, but I was like, I'm not saying this. I was thinking this. I feel like mothers they also gets more recognition because of the fact that they gave birth and carried the child for like 9 months and all other stuff, you know. But I feel like for dads, as you said before, like just now, that like they have a lot of impact on development and how tough someone is, comebacks even, you know, all this other stuff. So I think that like it should get way more recognition um because of how I feel like important it is, you know, to be in fathers' lives. And also what I will say to add on to that is well, Father's Day and fatherhood does not get as much recognition. The term, you know, fatherless or fatherless activities or making fun of people who have no fathers, um, or who behave like they have no fathers is recognized. So I feel like people do understand the impacts of fathers, but they don't celebrate them.
Okay, I could swing with that. Um, so part of that question is, do you think media portray fathers negatively to that contribute to that?
Yeah, I just said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I
Yeah,
think so.
it's media and social media and movies. I can't name an example right now, but in movies, in TV
Oh,
shows,
oh, I can give you
it's
one.
in Adult Swim.
We just talked about one. Um, Michael. I don't know if you.
Wait, like Michael Jackson?
Yeah, Michael Jackson, the movie.
Let me deafen. Let me mute because I did not
Oh, you didn't see it. Okay, we
yeah,
won't talk
wasn't
about it.
his father, but like in general, wasn't his father an abuser? Like
Yes,
forcing his kids to,
yes,
yeah.
yeah. But and typically TV, the old TV shows, they did portray him in a positive manner. They didn't have too many television shows that where the father came home and was
Oh,
abusive or was a drunk and all that other type stuff, doing all types of crazy stuff. They didn't have that back then. But now I guess,
crazy take.
huh?
I will say like because you said like back then stuff.
Back then, I'm talking like
I
70s.
but also I'm gonna drag in like a newer show,
Okay.
and that would be Jenny and Georgia, and that actually kind of goes in with what you were saying way earlier about can a parent rekindle connection? All that it kind of it rolls back. Sorry, like
So wait a
I'm just
minute.
I'm just thinking about
For
it.
us old folks, tell us about the show. What's the premise behind the show first? I've never heard of it.
Okay, so it's like a Netflix show, but what I'm gonna touch on is um Jenny's father was not around in the beginning of like her life. Like he wasn't really around. And um in the show she does rekindle a connection with her father. However, he like from my memory, because I haven't seen it in a while, um, it's kind of like a thing of like, okay, I love you, I can go to you, but some things that you do, I won't trust you for X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But I feel like that is a show that kind of shows like how fathers are kind of portrayed. Because he like in the show he was a nice dude. But at the same time, he wasn't in her life for too long. You know what I'm
So you're
saying?
saying,
So it
wait,
kind of
was he
has
more or
like that.
less was he more or less a nice guy, but just a bad father?
He was a nice guy and he wanted a relationship with Jenny. So he was starting to be a good father.
Okay. Now,
But Jenny was just a bad daughter.
since you're younger than most of us, so what other TV shows or movies that you've watched or your friends have watched where that portrays the father in a negative aspect, or do you know any that shows him in a positive aspect? Some of the newer ones.
I know positive ones. I feel like because like the stereotypical like you know what's it called? Share no Sheldon, young Sheldon. Well,
I know
this
what it is, but I have not watched the show.
I haven't seen like all of it, but basically, for that one, it's just a regular guy, a regular father, who's in these kids like in this kid's life. Actually, I'm pretty sure I got spoiled. I'm pretty sure the father cheated, so that is kind of like a bad, you know,
Mm.
thing to it. Um, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Like,
Let me
and
add
and
this
in the
in.
beginning, it's good stuff.
Let me
Is
add
what I'm
this
trying to
in.
say.
So when we talk about media, how does the media
Hmm.
portray fathers? It's not. Sometimes it's not always like in a fictional way. Look at the what you see on the news, or the social media news, or YouTube videos, or the newspapers. There's a lot of things when it comes to mothers and fathers where the fathers are portrayed as brutal. Some let's get down to it, like the ones that come out there and beat the mother, beat the kids,
Oh,
kill everybody, then kill themselves. We've seen that time and time again in the news, or crime blotters, where the father has done those heinous things to what we'll perceive, or how they portray it as a innocent family, or innocent wife, or innocent whatever. And then the
I
father
have
goes in
one.
there and does that, right? We've seen that in the
Yeah.
news, right? Everybody can say that.
Everywhere.
So I think that
Everywhere.
adds to it, why we are as fathers portrayed negatively. We see it in the,
Honest,
huh?
I was gonna say honestly, the last show that I seen that I watched that the fathers was portrayed as a positive aspect was the Damon Wayne show, My Wife and Kids.
Okay.
Ever since that, every whether it's black TV show or white TV show, it's not really like a great positive like what it used to be. Social
And if it is
social
positive, it's like stereotypical.
Stereotypical, or
right.
Hmm.
or comedic.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah, comedic.
okay.
Exactly.
Now,
I mean, Doctor Doolittle, he was a good father.
yeah,
I'm talking
but
about
it,
The black
like
version.
TV shows representing the father, look up to father black man, like the Cosbys, the George Jeffersons, the Phil Jackson. I mean not Phil Jackson, Philip Banks and the Carl Winslows. I'm talking about like that. You rarely see it. Like I said, like the last show I seen was represented that. Other than that Tyler Perry TV show with Mr. Brown,
oh,
you rarely see that vibe going on. It's like you said, the media is portraying. I don't want to say I hate to say the black man, the perfect black man anymore. It's
mm,
like it's lost. It's lost
Mm.
now. So it's like there's nothing I ain't far as like on television for a young black male to look up to as a role model, as in, hey, we need to step in those that kind of shoes. That's the blueprint for being, the black male that takes care of your family
mm,
and just whether it's successful or not. That's the push line for it. So it's like that's not there no more. It's like, okay, well, at least you had the TV shows where you like the young guys, if they thought about doing something that wasn't good, in your conscience, hey, Bill Cosby, this is he did, or this is what George Jefferson did, or this is like, you had something to look forward to or
right.
look at
All right.
towards
And
not having a male model in your life, in your actual life,
in that
you know.
context, right? We always say, all right, when we talk about fathers, discipline remains one of the most controversial parenting topics when it comes to parenting, or just being a father. And fathers are often portrayed as the disciplinarian. Some parents emphasize structure and accountability. Others prioritize emotional support and communication. So my question: Can a father be too strict? And what is the
Yeah.
difference between discipline and control? We'll start with that one.
Joe Jackson, the perfect one.
Well, he had both.
Joe 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 Jackson and Cliff Huxtable. That's the difference.
Okay. So, all right. So, which one? Which one had control and which one had discipline?
Um, when you say control, are you talking about like abusive control, or are you talking about
Control
like
in
just
general, like
just just able to have control over his family, good
right,
control, like
right.
his kids listen to him, he tell them what to do, he tell them this, this.
Mm-hmm.
I was okay, so if that's the case, I would say Cliff had the control and Joe had the discipline, because
You said Joe had the discipline
Cliff
and
had the control because he
Cliff had the
could
control.
tell if you saying it from what I just said, then Cliff was able to come. He was the look up to dad. They listened to him. He was like the perfect set of it. He come in. He's the doctor. This and that. Dad, okay. The positive effect. They listened to him, so he was able to have control with his family over his family like that. That's why I said, are you asking the bad control or the good control?
Okay.
And if you talk about discipline, Joe disciplined Michael so bad that he changed his nose. So that I would I
Mind
would
you,
give
it was so chopped. He should never. He was so pretty with his nose regular, like looking like a skull.
So what I'm gonna say is the difference between discipline and control is often short term, right? So you can control people for a short time, or during certain um, situations. But when you have discipline, or when you discipline somebody, you're looking for something. You trying to change behaviors long term. In the case of Joe Jackson, that was control. He wanted control in every situation. You know, the discipline,
so you're saying good and bad. He won it.
good and bad, yeah. The discipline. If I want to say, I want to show you discipline. I'm going to show you James Evans Sr. from Good Times. He wanted in his household and his kids to act a certain way. You couldn't get out there and act crazy. You couldn't join gangs. You couldn't stay out all night. Thelma couldn't just date anybody. They had to come over and they had to meet him, right? That was discipline. They had certain ways of doing things in the household. There was no disrespect tolerated. That's discipline. Control is when you try to control their mind, their actions, everything they can, not letting them be the individual in any type of way. So we've seen that before.
Okay.
So
So you talk about that control. Okay, I
yeah.
got you.
So in your case, and I'm gonna ask you to, and I'm gonna tell you how it was with my father. My father, he weren't in a household, so there was no control, there was no discipline, there was none of that. How did that work out for you too? When it comes,
You want to answer first?
Kendall, you can answer first because you had for some time a both
Wait,
parents.
wait, what? Wait, what was your question that you just asked?
The the discipline or control. Which one was it? Which one was applied in your household by your father?
Um, Neither, but I would. I don't know. I would say neither, but
So is that a 0 for 3 for all of us? Neither, all for
yeah.
all three of us.
Yeah.
Now on the opposite end, do you think that now I'm gonna ask Dimitri this first. Now, based on what you observed, do you think parents have become too permissive? Do they let the kids go
like
do
like like
do?
letting them do whatever,
Yes,
like too much. I
yes.
would I, this new age, yes. This new age, yes. Back then, no.
Okay, back then, no, this year. So, give me an example of.
Like back in my time, no. Our time, no. Now, Yeah, they let them go out, hang out. The high school kids come home 1 o'clock in the morning. Like you said, you should be the good times. What's his name? You had those fathers back in our time where you had to, they got to meet who you talking to. Decide they're gonna let you even date, and you had to, the prom, and like you had to have good grades in school to even go outside, or you had to have good grades to play on a basketball if you wanted to play
I'm not even allowed
basketball.
outside in general.
Now
You said you were
you
you
kids do what they want. They like literally like gangs is the norm.
and the young
Uh,
kids,
uh, uh,
even the young
huh?
kids, even the younger young kids, the very
Even
young
the younger
kids.
kids, like they're doing whatever. It's when 10-year olds got cell phones, so now they're doing what they want.
Mm. Mm. All right, so I'm gonna ask Kendall this, but hold on, I'm gonna take a brief break first. But when we come back, I want Kendall to answer that. And I know you're not a parent, but you've seen other parents, and you have parents, and I want you to take yourself from the kid aspect and tell us, have parents become too
I was gonna
permissive?
say yes regardless, but
Are you going?
we can
to
take that break.
All right. Well, I want you to elaborate when we come back. So yeah, the question was, have parents become too permissive? Dimitri said yes, and he gave his reasons, but was waiting on Kendall. She's younger. What do you? How do you think that? How do you think parents are? Or you think they have become too permissive?
um, yeah, but I
Ex-
think it's like more of like I feel like okay, so I'm all for gentle parenting, but I think a lot of people don't know what gentle parenting is, and because of that, they end up being overly like soft. And what I mean by that is instead of disciplining their kid and explaining to a kid, this is why you don't do X, Y, and Z, they end up just being like, hey, hey, don't do that, sweetie, or hey, stop doing that. And that causes an issue. Now, this isn't all gentle parents, it's just the people who don't know, who think that gentle parenting is excusing unacceptable behavior.
I think it's part of that. So now,
That's my take, at least.
I think just from me looking at it through the years, parents have become way too permissive. They allow kids to go out and do whatever they want. And then once they get, like, say if they get in trouble, the first thing they say, well, what did you do to make my kid do this? Or why are you trying to discipline my kid? Or why did you arrest my kid for doing X, Y, and Z?
That's not, I feel like that's like, those are the parent, I feel like those are like Karen parents. Like, that's not, like,
You
that,
said Karen
that's
parents?
like a, yes, like, that's like,
No.
because, okay, there's
Let
like
me
this,
tell you this. Let me tell you this. There's a lot of parents who are the same way, and it's going what happened recently, right? We had all these kids go down there and just basically terrorize Afram. Or you can go to any place around here. You can go to the Walmart, the Home Depot. Not so much Home Depot, but a lot of places, public places, restaurants, and the kids are off the chain. And
I feel like kids don't get taught to represent their own name like these days. I feel like they really
that's a
don't.
major part of it. Yes, yes.
And I
So
feel like because a lot of times, at least for like the teenage like era that I'm in, again, my mom is a really I guess like strict. She's not as strict as she would be, but she's strict, right? So I even still don't have a lot of like free will to be able to go to anywhere I want to go. She has to know these people's social security for me to be able to go anywhere. At this point, so it's just like for a lot of teenagers, at least like around my age, it's a lot of like they can just go do whatever they want, and then come back like just tell their parents where they're going and they come back whenever. I feel like the main issue with this is that a lot of times these parents resort on they like there's like okay, kids are gonna have fun, but they kind of like rely on their experiences. Like they rely on whatever event that a kid is gonna go to kind of parent for them. I don't know if that makes sense. Like
All right.
they
So
don't.
now my question today is, what what role should consequences play in that? Meaning, I'm going to let you do X, Y, and Z, but there's going to be consequences for whatever outcome.
Oh,
I don't think it. Well, like it depends on you trying to teach them a lesson,
I think everything should be
like
a
a.
lesson.
I think honestly,
Uh,
like for me at least, because okay, as a kid, I'm gonna say it straight up, beatings do not work. Beatings really do not work.
Oh,
That's
oh,
a
they work.
very to
yeah, I was
me.
about to
Okay.
say. I was about to say I highly disagree on that one.
They work very
They
well.
work. They work very,
Like,
very, very extremely
and
well.
I'm saying it depends on it depends on the situation. Like I saw,
Depends on the
like if
belt.
you don't, if if you don't like if you beat people, like if you beat someone like for just anything, it's not gonna have the same amount of impact as maybe someone who's a gentle parent or someone who doesn't beat their kid as often, and a kid who gets beat for something that is very severe. That I think has an impact or holds impact.
Oh,
But for me,
I'm gonna have to disagree with you 100% on this one.
really,
Yes, I'm gonna
I
tell you
think
okay,
why.
scared. I think scare holds the impact.
Absolutely,
fear.
fear has a
Holds
very
the
strong
impact.
impact. So here's the thing, right?
But like it's not what I'm saying is it doesn't like you'll be afraid to do something, but when that kid turns 18, 19, 20, whatever, right? They won't have that fear anymore
Oh, they sure will.
because
They sure will.
are you sure?
They sure will.
Look, okay, I think I'm just speaking for my generation and what I've seen. Like I like there's people who get beat
And
and,
I'm
and they
speaking from
still
an
do stuff.
extension cord.
Now, I'm gonna tell you why. So, even when we talk about consequences, let's not so focused on the beating thing because that does work because nobody wants to get beat. Second of all, I think every kid should have a healthy fear of their parents, and that's part of the problem because they don't have the fear. So if you don't have the fear inside your own household, when you go out there in public, you're not going to fear the authorities, and when you don't feel the authorities and you don't feel the consequences of dealing with the authorities, that in itself is a problem, very
I
problematic.
want to say I disagree, but
All right,
like
you could disagree on
if
that
I
one.
do,
The
all
evidence
the
is
old
there.
people on this podcast is gonna be like, oh, so you know what? I'll keep my mouth shut.
Let me ask you something. Since we're talking about the consequences thing, do you
Hmm.
think if you didn't care what was going to happen with your parents or your mother or whomever, you think you would be the same way out there in public?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is not. That
Can I
makes.
wait? Can I say why though?
Tell me
Because
why.
like for me, the lessons that stick with me more that I carry with myself is not what I got beat for, it's what I've been explained. So my mom always explained to me since I was like in kindergarten at this point, where it was like you represent, your name, you represent your family's name, and explained to me the disrespect of cursing in front of adults or um how you present yourself in front of people. So because of that, I always present myself in front of people in a certain way.
Kendall.
And also not only that, but it's in character.
But in those lessons of how you present yourself and how you do such and such and how you
I
speak in
have
front of
not
people,
I've never got beat for presentation. I got beat for things that like she was irritated about, but I never got beat for presentation. Maybe running around a mall. I mean, not mall,
even then
running
there's a
around
there's
a
an
thing when I was a kid.
undertone of, yeah, you have to represent your name, and if you don't want to disrespect your name, you don't want to do X, Y, and Z, all the things that you mentioned, because
But I
there was
wasn't
an
afraid
undertone.
of a beating.
But there was an undertone that if you was to violate certain rules, you was going to get certain things. You was going to have consequences to your actions.
For me, at least, it was more of an undertone of like, if I did X, Y, and Z, I would be perceived badly by others. And for me, I care about how I'm perceived. That's just how
Okay,
I'm raised.
okay,
That's
I
just how.
can get that. I can get that. But for the general population, guess what?
But you're talking about me. You were
Yeah,
asking me, so
yeah,
I was just
yeah.
answering for that type of
But it
thing.
goes back to what role should consequences play? I think, and generally, this is my true, honest belief. There is not enough consequences to the actions that some of these kids are doing, and that's why we have the problems we have now. They feel there's no consequences. There's no fear. They don't fear their parents. They don't fear the police. They don't fear anything. And because they don't have that fear, they go out here and they do what they want. They say what they want, where they want, and how they want because they feel nobody can touch them, right?
Here's my take. I feel like,
Until somebody
sorry.
does.
I feel like what you were saying earlier about healthy fear, I agree with you. However, I know what you meant by that, and therefore I disagree, right?
Wait a
But
minute. You
here's what
said
I'm.
wait a minute. You said you know what I meant about healthy fear,
Mm-hmm,
and you disagree
mm-hmm.
with healthy fear.
I agree with healthy fear, but I don't agree with your iteration of healthy fear.
Wait a minute.
I'll say that
You don't agree with my what?
iteration of healthy fear. Here's my example of healthy fear for your parents, right? And this is going to include if it's a beating thing, right? If your parents really beat you, and it's like you're afraid to disappoint someone, like you're afraid to disappoint your parents, you're afraid, not even afraid, like you respect your parents enough to not do something that would violate their trust, that would violate like their rules, and you have a fear of doing so, that's okay. But if there's a fear to where it's like, oh, I can't do this because I'm gonna get beat, even if it's something small, but I can't do this because I'm gonna get beat, or being like having like I know so many people who have a fear of their parents coming home, just randomly, like they don't feel comfortable when their parents come home because of the fact that while they may not get beat, they might get over disciplined, and it makes them like walk on eggshells. So there's a healthy fear, and then there's a like a
So
over fear,
when
and
I
I feel
say
like
healthy
beating a
fear,
lot is not healthy.
healthy fear doesn't mean that it's all beatings. Healthy fear. Let me give you a good example. And there's always a balance of things. When I was growing up, I had a healthy fear of my parent, my mother, single parent household. And it wasn't because everything that I did wrong, I was going to get a beating. But like you said, it was the fear of disappointment. It was the fear of maybe punishment. It was the fear of embarrassment. And it was also the fear of the belt. All four of those options are on the table. And I'm not when I say when it's unhealthy fear, is that everything you do, you're getting beat or getting brutalized. That's not a healthy fear. That's somebody who's being psychologically traumatized, right? So a healthy fear means you have all four options on the table and they're effective, right? Kids these days don't have that. They don't care about how somebody feels. They don't care about what was said about them and their name and whether they're going to get it because they can say, well, I'm not getting beaten because I could call the cops and da 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 da, right? So that's what we've lost. And that's why people, a lot of the young people, not just young people, because young people get older, they're out here doing what they want with no fear of consequences. And then that's what needs to be, that what needs to happen. People have to have consequences for your actions. You go, bust somebody's window or vandalize somebody's property and nothing happens, that's not consequences. So what's to prevent them from happening or doing it again or committing it again? Or the reverse. What about the person who's being victimized when they see somebody doing certain things and there's no consequences for their actions? How is that person supposed to feel? That affects society. So when it comes to
I
parenting,
think some kids,
there
this may be like
always should be
hot take.
consequences to everything, not just parenting,
Some
but to
kids
everything.
need to get beat.
Oh,
Some
absolutely.
kids need to get beat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll say
Well,
it.
if there's no consequences, there's no direction
Correct.
because you don't have nowhere to go with no consequences. Everybody's freelance. Everything is so you got to have consequences, especially when it reflects to good and right and wrong. You have to when it affects school, when it affects how you treat people, when it affects what you do in life. You got to have consequence and hold yourself accountability. And nowadays, it's less of the consequences going around with these kids. You
Right.
know, like the parenting. You know, I hate to talk about any parent and say they're not good parents and all that stuff, but they let their kids freelance. It's like it's almost like that game, The Sims. You just
They're just
do
doing
whatever.
doing everything they want.
Right, and there's no, like I said, there were morals, there were rules, there were, say what you want to say about Joe Jackson. Michael wasn't. They had to sneak out of there to go see some girl and have sex with her in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? Like even he had consequences on that. It's like you have to set the tone. When you That's why a lot of these kids ended up in jail, and a lot of them ended up dead because society, the way things,
Well, I think
the
in that
way that
case, the way when you mentioned Joe Jackson, I think those are the flyback consequences when you have certain things that happen or certain people commit certain things.
Mhm.
They try to compensate for that or make things better by coming up with these laws or restrictive laws, and then that hurts everybody else. So just like like if you can't physically discipline your child, it wasn't because the physical discipline was bad. It's because all those other people that abuse their children or their wives or whatever caused the laws to change and say, okay, well, we don't want that to happen again, so we're going to put this law in so it doesn't happen, but it has negative consequences as well for people who are doing things the proper way. But
Right.
I think in general, fathers usually are the ones with more restrictive and puts that little discipline in there. But with that said, I'm gonna tell you what a great father is. Now, I don't think a great father is necessarily wealthy or has to be educated, perfect in any way. But they have to have consistency. They have to have integrity because that's what the kids are going to look at. They have to have compassion. They have to have some type of wisdom to pass on to their kids, and they have to be present. That's what makes a great father, right? You have to be present. You can't do any of that if you're not present. So, my question to you guys, and all these are going to be questions I want to know from you personally. What is the most important quality of the most important quality of a father, in your opinion?
Um, the most important quality of a father is I, I keep going back to this, his passion for his kids' success.
Okay, okay.
Um,
Kendall, what do you
his
say?
love, his yeah.
Oh, what do you say?
Um, I feel like the most important quality is nurturing. I feel like for every good father, you have to have the ability to be nurturing to your kid. Uh,
Oh, you
because
wanna
without
so
that,
you wanna punk for a father, huh?
no, 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 hear me out, right?
I'm just messing with you.
Because because you can. What was your thing again, Dimitri?
It was your passion for your kids' success.
Exactly. That's a nurturing is a very nurturing trait.
That's not
You
nurturing.
have it is.
That's not
It really
nurturing.
is.
No, it's
Because
not.
there's love behind it.
No,
There's love behind it.
it could that's an assumption. If you have a passion for your kid's success, is because you might say, okay, as you're carrying my name on, and if I'm sacrificing all these things, I'm putting money out, I'm doing all these different things to
What
to
type of tone?
to make you successful, then you need to do it, and whatever. So that's not necessarily
Dimitri,
nurturing.
what tone were you trying to, like, what type of tone of success were you trying to convey?
Are you asking me?
So what I'm
No,
saying
Dimitri.
is, what I'm saying is like when I say your passion for your case success, one of the things I'm saying is you invested in your kids' future so much that you want them to do better than you. To me, those are qualities of a good father. Those are qualities like I don't want them to be where I want them to be better than me, whether you had success or not. If you didn't have success, you definitely want them to be better than you. So you're gonna be right on them. You're gonna be like focused. You're gonna be invested in what they're doing and how their whereabouts, how they go about, from the start of when you start investing in it and to the end when they get to the finish line of their career. So to me, that's the qualities of a good father. Like you're invested in their future.
Okay, so
Like
let me ask you something.
I want like I said earlier. I want to go like Kendall. Like I watch what school you go to. I'm making sure you're gonna do this and that because I didn't go to college. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna invest in make sure you do. If you don't go to college, I'm gonna be there on you to make sure you get a great job. To make sure
Can I
you,
stop you
I'm not
right
gonna
there
let you.
for a second?
Huh?
Because, like, to piggyback off of what you're saying, to tie it into nurturing, nurturing
Hmm.
means to like, provide care, support, encouragement to promote growth, health, and well-being to others and oneself. But that, for a kid, that would be promoting that person's growth, encouraging that person's growth, and supplying, like, support, emotional support for that person's growth. So is that not nurturing?
Yeah, but you just added emotional support. Nobody cares about emotional
No, I'm
support.
saying, like, I'm not. I'm saying, like, the type. I'm saying that type of support would be
That would
emotional.
that emotional support would be nurturing. But where you can have all those other things without having to be nice about it. You can be like a Joe Jackson. You can be controlling. You could
No.
be a disciplinarian. You could be a whole bunch of different things for whatever reasons. Nurturing would
Hmm.
be something different.
But it, like, what I'm reading off of right now, it doesn't even say emotional. I added emotional because what he would be adding would be emotional support,
Okay.
emotionally being there to be able to support your kid,
So
and wishing and hoping that they did really
so
really well.
you basically saying that the most important thing is being a nurturer. He's saying to
Yes.
be basically a driver to make it into a one word
And I'm
thing.
saying that driving
Right.
somebody goes into nurturing. You
Okay.
cannot do a lot of things without being a nurturer to your
You
kid, which is
absolutely
why I
can.
think I said you can do some things, but a lot of things require you to be nurturing in
Like
some
give me
aspects.
give
Like,
me
just in
give
a
me an
little.
example. What requires nurturing?
All right. One of what he just said, trying to be there to support your growth, like a kid's growth.
No, but
And
how does that need nurturing?
success.
How does that need nurturing?
You're literally nurturing is feeding into somebody to help them develop. It
You
doesn't
can
just
you
mean
could
being
be
all kind and sweet and lovey
you
dovey.
could be a total disciplinarian with no emotions whatsoever and say, "Hey, you're in my household. These are the rules of my
But that
household."
wasn't the tone.
Hold
That
on,
wasn't
hold
the
on, hold
tone
on.
that
We're
he was
talking.
saying though.
It doesn't. I'm not talking about what he's saying. You said nurturer. I said
Mhm.
that's not necessary. You can have all those things that he was saying, and be a total disciplinarian. Totally say this is my household. These are my rules. I'm the provider. You're going to do this, and this, or else there's going to be consequences, and make
But
that person
that's not nurturing, and that wasn't what he was saying.
exactly.
I'm talking about actively promoting, like, promoting, not forcing. There's a difference between promoting something and forcing something.
Well, the
What
question at
I'm
hand,
talking about.
was you said what he
Mhm.
said was nurturing. I said no, it's not nurturing because he's not saying it has to be in a certain way. I'm saying what he's doing, what he said needs to be done, or a father should be doing, doesn't have to be nurturing.
Okay, so let me reword what I'm saying. If you want a loving environment for your kid, impactful, like a positively impactful environment for your kid, and a warm environment for your kid. Which again, you can support someone's growth, promote someone's success without doing what you said. Then in the tone that I'm talking about, it would be a nurturing tone. I feel like having the nurturing aspect is a really important trait, the most important one in my opinion, because what you just said is not nurturing, and that's what drives a kid away.
Okay, well, that's more of opinion there because there's plenty of examples of where the driver was drove the young people or whoever to be successful and still not chase them away. But that's how you feel with your opinion about the important quality or whatever. That's fine. Let me ask you something. A lot of people think that being financially enabled or being a provider financially is enough. Do you think that's enough?
No, no.
So if you have a father out there that provides money to their child growing up to provide everything that they need, you saying that's not enough?
Nope.
Okay. What?
Because I have I had a friend who whenever they would talk about their father, be like, "Oh, he can give me X, Y, and Z because he'll pay for X, Y, and Z." X, Y, and Z. It doesn't create an actual bond. It just kind of creates a monetary relationship where if that father was to stop giving money, then that bond would be over.
I'm
So
gonna
I don't think that's
I'm gonna agree
important.
on this one basic aspect that you you're not a father just because you provide financially. Anybody could do
Yeah.
that, So you need the other things to be an actual father, and that's one thing we said. You need presence. You need to be an example. But do you need how important do you think emotional availability is?
I think
Very.
that's big.
That's why I said nurturing. Like that kind of goes into it, and I think it's very important.
Emotional availability is important.
Yes,
Okay. I'm not gonna argue it because
because
that's
I feel
that's
like
not. I'm not saying it's
yeah, I know.
But
required.
my thing of emotional availability for a man, I don't think it's that important because you got the mother there. She does the
Correct.
nurturing.
Correct.
So I mean the father is the provider, the backbone to make sure that hey you going to school, you're gonna do this. Not saying force. I'm not saying force. It probably sound like force. I'm not saying force, but I'm saying like hey, what school you going to? What are your decisions?
Like being
Okay, all right.
persistent and
Right, or who you dating? I want to meet him. You know what I mean? Like that, like that.
Hmm.
The nurturing, that's what the mother's for. Like I'm
Exactly.
not saying, you know what I'm
these
saying?
old
Like the
school
mother,
takes.
It's not old
the
school. That's
mother.
that's the
Well,
purpose.
that's what mothers
Wait,
do. That's what.
can I explain what I mean by emotional, like emotionally there?
No, we got you. We understood what you meant by emotionally there.
No, 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 because the tone of what I'm saying kind of goes along with Dimitri saying, but more so for like if you would want your child to be able to come to you if something was to happen, right?
That's
Like
emotion.
you would want that,
When it comes to their feelings about certain things, that's the emotional availability.
right?
Right.
And being able to talk to them, but still be reasonable, still be stern. Like I feel like that's what is needed
We're we're
because
not
you're
we're not
still.
we're not disputing whether emotional availability is important. I think
I'm saying
we all agree that.
what I'm saying is that I don't think that's just like should be what the mother's there for because I feel like usually
No, no,
the
no. Hold on, hold
guy
on,
is
hold on,
supposed to
hold on.
provide that level-headed
We're
approach.
not, we all agreed that emotional availability is important. There's no dispute on that,
Hmm.
right?
What
So
did Demetri just say though? What
he
did
said the
wait?
nurturing part. That's what the mother's for. That's what they're geared for. We talked about that earlier, where a man's responsibility is to protect, provide, and to lead. A woman's the mother, wife's uh, purpose is to be the helpmate and the nurturer, right? And also the educator. And when it comes to kids, So we're not talking about that being the same thing, being emotionally balanced. Even me. You could be you could be a stern person, not be a nurturer, but still be emotionally available for your kids. That's not being that's just being a father. That's being a parent, or a counselor or a mentor, So that's not necessarily being a nurturer, you know. But let me ask you guys this is for you too, and we're gonna speed through this. Who is the best father figure in your life?
You.
Uh,
Oh, well,
I would
I got,
say I only had one, so
You,
I got two. I got you, and I have shout out to
Leonard,
um, and Travis,
Travis. Okay, and just
and and Marky. I got a couple. I got a
so
couple. I got a lot.
by committee, you had a lot of male influence in your life that took
Right.
those.
So basically, if I was to have a kid right
Hmm.
now, I don't know nothing about being a father, but just watching y'all,
Hmm.
I learned a lot,
Okay,
and I don't even have a kid,
well, I
so
appreciate that.
I know what not to do and what to do. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
from the past situations and just watching you guys as like blueprints. I take the blueprints from y'all, and that's role models. I feed on that.
And
So
I'm a piggyback off of what you just said too, because the same thing applies for me. Like, so for me growing up, again, single parent household, I didn't learn a lot of things from my father as far as what it is to be a father. But when I was in the Navy, I was around a lot of guys who had wives and kids and stuff like that. So I learned from them by observing them and how they did it. Even one of my closest friends. Now, we weren't perfect, but you got accustomed to seeing what a father did for their kids, and even later on going in
bingo.
through the police department, you saw what other guys were doing for their kids. How when it comes to discipline, to leading, a whole bunch of different things. So that's where I got mine from. Kendall, I know yours is a little bit different, but when we said father figure in your life, that could be anybody. It could be a stepfather, a father, an uncle, a
do you mean
cousin.
my okay? Okay, so here's my I have two. I have two.
Okay,
One of them would be my actual dad, but the second one would be my great uncle, Uncle Lester.
okay, okay.
And but like I feel like the reasoning why. Well, are you asking for the reason why or just
No,
who
just
is
ask who. Who. You can elaborate on who. Why, but that's fine.
okay? So basically, I feel like my my great uncle kind of gave me just like a lot of wisdom
Okay,
and a lot of like lessons and stories from his like own experience. So I
okay,
feel like that's kind of why I feel like giving lessons is like a very big thing.
okay.
Very big thing.
So I'm going to ask you. This is going to be my final question. What lesson, good or bad, did you learn from your father? Well, let me restate that. What lessons or lesson one lesson from your father that shaped your life?
Is
Hmm.
there got to be what lesson? What positive lesson you learned
Good or
from
bad?
him? Or
A
something?
lesson's a
Just
lesson.
period.
A lesson's a lesson. What lesson did you get from your father that shaped your life?
Don't give up.
Don't give up. Okay.
Don't give up. If it doesn't go good and you fail the first time, and that kid gets back in your life, whether he connects with you or you connect with him, you have time. You still got hope.
Okay.
That's what happened with me and
Okay.
that.
Okay. Kendall.
I think that the lesson I learned um was that you cannot fix everyone.
You cannot fix everyone. Okay. Okay. Now, how did that come about?
Um, I just think that in general, um, like what how did that come about? Hmm. Hmm.
You said
I
you,
just think that in hmm,
you can't fix everyone. That's a lesson you learned from your father.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it was also because like I feel like everyone's flawed, you know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
this kind of goes for any parent, but
Okay.
I'm just gonna say this for my father because I feel like everyone's flawed,
Mm-hmm.
some more than others,
Not
and
me.
I think that like I feel like if someone doesn't want to be helped, in this case he was very stubborn about anything,
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, you know what, it's not up to you to fix people, and you can't blame yourself, for like
For their
things that
faults or their
yeah,
downfalls. Okay.
exactly.
I buy that. I buy that. I think for me, and then we'll close it with this. Um, for me, the lesson I learned from my father was really the negative things, like um, the things that I didn't get from him because I was young and we didn't have that much interactions. The lessons I got from him was, hey, don't be don't be the person that you no, let me say it this way. Be the person that you wished you had, right? So if I, as a father, I'm going to be the father that I wished I had. I'm going to be that father for my kids. That's the lesson I learned from my father. And said and I'm not knocking him for it. We all have our own circumstances, and like you said, you can't fix everybody. And sometimes people come in and out of your lives for reasons, good or bad. But thank you guys for chiming in for this part 3 of this episode. And Kendall, give me a word of the day.
Um, the word of the day. You know what? This is gonna be basic, but I feel like we should end it off of like, Father's Day. I feel like that should be it. I
That's
feel like it's like a Father's Day special. So
okay. We'll do Father's Day,
I feel
although that's
like
two
it's
words, but
basic.
but
You literally did deadbeat.
that's one word.
Wait, okay, I'll change it. I'll change it up.
But go ahead.
You know what? Nurture.
Nurture. Okay. All right. That's appropriate. Nurture. All right. So again, the word of the day is nurture. So if you get the word of the day, email it to unfiltered.psycho4081@gmail.com. You get all of them for the month. You will have the opportunity to win a prize. Don't forget to follow and share. We're on social media. Just look up Psycho PSYCHO 4081 and it should come up. Follow us, share, and we're going to start giving a lot of these things out to our subscribers. So we'll send those out to our subscribers. But thank you guys again. And my final statement, Father's Day, which we're talking about, isn't just about celebrating good fathers. It's also about examining the consequences when fathers are absent, recognizing the sacrifices of devoted dads, and challenging men to lead with wisdom, compassion, and integrity. Whether your father was present, absent, flawed, or extraordinary, one thing is clear. Fathers leave a lasting imprint on families, communities, and generations. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Unfiltered with Psycho 4081. Big respect to our guests for keeping it real, and love to every listener rocking with us week after week. This conversation ain't over yet. Stay locked in for the next episode coming soon. Until next time, keep it unfiltered with Psycho 4081.